Hello, Aries. This is Mo with Mystic Oracle, otherwise known as Joy. It's my pleasure to be here and to guide you through some of the energy coming up. It's more than just an Aries read. There's a bit of Chiron going on here. As we know, Chiron is in Aries for 8 more years. And so it's kind of dual energy going on for those of you who have prominent Aries in your chart. And strangely enough, what's in my Aries is Chiron, and Chiron is the key. So I lay some overview cards to kind of get the energy of what's coming up. I'd laid them out 2 days ago and was not even allowed to look at them and told to leave them here. And I thought, what is going on? That's almost too much for me. I'm ready to charge in, take a look, get it done. Does that sound familiar? But I'm Capricorn Sun, so I can relate a bit, and I have quite a bit of Sagittarius, so I know what it's like to be headstrong and fiery and passionate, but in a different way. You guys are a bit more fluid, a bit more tactful with your energy. You come across with the initiative is how it really happens. But with Chiron being here, there's going to be a period of resting is what I see. Joyfulness, trusting, resting. Above and below, it's about merging the energies of kind of our primal instinct, that initiative that you have along with our thinking mind. So if you kind of swirl together Aries and Gemini, that's a little bit of what it would feel like. And so today's a good day to be doing this with the nodes switching into Gemini and Sagittarius. It just seemed like a big cumfuggle, just a big mashup of energy. And it could seem conflicting, but really it's being on the edge. It's being on the edge of the world. Anyone who does art knows light and dark kiss. They touch. It's that edge. It's that what could be called a dividing line, but the message that's hidden in here is to become whole-minded, to be able to take the logic and the reason and the passion and creativity. So enough being said there. A billion cards of energy clarification came out, and some of them were even tarot. I would think I'm still going to lay a tarot spread on top of this, but regardless, I surrender myself to these readings just as being a channel. I see myself as an intuitive channel, like someone who, like your secretary, who's able to pick up the phone and I just take a message and I relay it. I'm simply providing you information and perspective to take and apply to your own situation through your own spirit, because you know the other half of the story. I do not. This is just the information of what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm here to share that with you. So we're going to look at these. They're kind of clarification cards. It's just some handwritten things that I've made. And the first one says progress is being made. And we'll find out about that in a moment. And then you're going to love this one. Sweet Chariot is coming for you. And so that means there's going to be a good pace to it. It means, uniquely enough, being someone who has so much initiative, you see, you go, you conquer, right? Well, there's a new energy in life that's coming about, and it's being met by life. It's the inner and the outer. It's the yin and the yang, and these are things that have been there, but those aren't always the predominant energies going on. Well, it is stepping forefront here because so many of the cards, they're all aligning, they're integrating. That's what we're doing. We're in a period of integration where we're finding how these energies synergize, commingle, come about and create a recipe where it's no longer ingredients. It's how do we bring about these unique energies, kind of like the magician. How do we work them together to bring about differing results, to add variety to life? Variety is the spice of life. So it's a bit of the magician, kind of like using the energies, but also a bit of the death card, which has been showing up a lot in many, many readings. And then also the Three of Cups coming alongside it, which is interesting, death and celebration. Those could seem conflicting, but at the same time, it's closing out one chapter and one way of doing it. It's kind of like graduating or progressing. You're going from second grade to third grade, or you're going from high school to college, or you get the point. So anyways, not to belabor that, but to me, the death card is a form of magic. It is transformation. It's Plutonian, remember, and we're in Pluto retrograde. And so that's what the cards are showing here also is it's a return in a sense, like you go on a journey, say you're going to a certain destination, you're going to on a 4-hour road trip, and you're going to stay there a few days, and then you're going to come back. Things may not even look quite the same on the road back because you're seeing them from a different perspective or the other side of the road. That's a bit of what we have going on here. But the thing that I found very interesting is the interplay of life and the dialogue that was going on with the Aries who are showing up for this, with also the Chiron seekers, the healers, those who are looking to advance their way and not stay in the zone of the cobbler's kids who don't have any shoes, the healer who's not healed, or in stage 2, which is the sorrowful shaman, where your journey is wet with tears, but getting to the result, to the reward, to the other side. To me, like the Ace of Swords, it very much is a reward card. And so we've got some runes here, but this card's really jumping out. It's kind of like freeing yourself. It's giving yourself permission to step into this new being of life, to kind of step through the Three of Cups, step through that death. I love it. I've always said I'm kind of progressive in the sense of, like, I don't even want to get in my own way. I don't want to hold myself back. So if I've got an issue, I'm like, I'll step over my own dead body to get to what I'm aiming for, to get to where I'm going. That's a little bit of what this is, because this is one-sided. This binding up in a singular perspective. And it really matches up with this rune, the growth, that it came in the reverse. And the suggestion there was really to let go of control of your situation. And it doesn't mean, like here, this could seem like, well, okay, isn't that what I'm doing? I'm being bound up here. Something else is in control. No, this is really connoting control. It's wanting to be in charge of it all. And that energy will bind you up in this going time. So it's about being able to flow. And the flow that we're being called into is the flow of consciousness. That has been moving about for probably 3 or 4 days now. So we're ready to step into the flow. And that's the next one is... it's kind of like the peaceful surrender to having help, partnership, union, collaboration, cooperation, which can also be Three of Cups, right? It's a time of working together, the ingredients becoming the recipe. Finding delight and enjoyment in all the training, the hardship, the growth, the knowledge that's been building these last probably 2 years, and which would go along nicely with the nodal shift. It's going into Gemini and Sagittarius, which to me is summarized by being whole-brained, because it has all to do with the mind, the inside, the outside, the near, the far, the dream state, the logical mind, but really it has to do with integration. But I'm going to hold back there for a second, because I need to go to the second rune. This one's called Partnership. And to me, it's clearly about reciprocation, like coming in here, cooperation, reciprocation, relationship. It's kind of like we're past a lot of the hermit mode. We're past a lot of the scratching of the head. We're past a lot of the why didn't that work out? I thought things were going to be this way. Learning your side of the issue, your side of the growth, your side of the challenge. And so we can get mixed results when we're not stepping into our true identity. And that's very much where the Chiron is coming in, is we're being called to an opportunity to shed somewhat the awkward development, the environmental conditioning of how we grew up, good or bad. It can still just alter how we operate. And being able to give ourselves permission to step into our authenticity. And that can sound cliche, but really the easiest summary that I've gotten from this is to embrace the environment that you enjoy. If you enjoy edgy, progressive risk takers, then you're an edgy, progressive risk taker. You know, it's beginning to step into that facet of yourself. No matter what percentage it is of who you are, beginning to taste some of those things that you enjoy. It's kind of like the fruit coming onto the tree. The overview here really is about stepping in to enjoy life, to begin to play with it. It's been some heavy energy, some harsh, dare I say, some difficult energy, some challenging energy for these last handful of years. And for some of you, that could be the 8 years from when Venus was last retrograde in 2012 of like, I thought it was supposed to go like this. How did I mess up? And it's not that you messed up. It's like that road trip. You were heading there, and then now you're heading back home. Pluto retrograde, the switch of the nodes, the Venus retrograde. That's why we're not to be scared of any of this, because where Chiron is placed in Aries, it's being able to identify with the self. It's in that first house. And so on the return trip, we're beginning to see, who do we want to be? How would I handle that? How would I want that handled? And not the logic mind. It really is more feelings based. It's going on the essence of situations. I'm going to let that sit there for a second. And then it moves on to this. And this is really preparing to awaken into the enjoyment. You see the rainbow swirling around, the cherry blossoms springing up. It is that time of year. Embracing enjoyment. This final rune that we had that came out is newness and fertility. And to me, I find it unique that it's these coming together, right? It's the going on the trip and the returning back home. It's gaining new perspective in and on yourself. A lot of our perspective, if we stay in our conditioning, is formed by examining those around us of, well, what would I learn from their behavior? Or what would I learn from the way I responded to whatever they said or did, or this condition or that thing? And so we're really doing a lot of internal work through an external environment, where this is really in the return trip and the coming back home. It's reflective. It's dialoguing with yourself from the inside and the outside. Okay. So really, that card that I just held up has to do at the core about having a new lease on life. Showing up as your true self. When you show up as your true self, all the magic, all the intention that you had behind what was driving you will begin to show up and be returned to you. If you're a generous person, people are going to start being generous to you. And that's never why you're generous. That's the unique thing about it. If you were still generous in the face of adversity, then that's essentially who you are, right? So when generosity starts being returned and shown to you, it gives you a new lease on life. It's kind of like the wind beneath your wings. Hopefully some of this is making sense. If not, your spirit definitely can guide and sift out some of this. I'm in the midst of this with you, and it seems kind of puzzle piece, like piecemeal. But I do see it coming together, because over here, with this person, with the cooperation, the celebration, the community collaboration, that sort of thing. We've got the turtle showing up. And it says, be joyful and trusting. Now we know when we begin to deal with others, the level of trust ramps up, all right? And we have to be, in a sense, more mindful. When really, Chiron is calling us to stay more reflective, to just focus on the energy that we're bringing, feeling the energy, staying tuned in to the energy, and like a thermostat, really setting it there and regulating it. And when it begins to step out one way or the other, those can be signs, not that things are bad or good or right or wrong. It's literally a way of your body saying, hey, I'm tired. Can we go home now? Or the situation is played out. Can we resolve it? Anyways. So over here with the new lease on life, we have the dolphin, to live joyfully in the present. Okay? When we can be workspace and logical, it's almost like we can skip the centering part. We're here or we're here. We're past or we're future. Let me look at the past to see what I didn't like, to see what I'd change for my future. And we miss the joy. Joy is only in the present. And the future only lives in the present. And the only way to get there is to let go of the past and to stay embracing childlike, the newness of every moment. Each sunrise is original, and it's only for that day. And we can be very self-limiting when we think we know anything. And maybe that's kind of what I mean about stay tuned in to how the situation feels and the environment feels, and monitor that. If you enjoy everybody getting along, if things start to kind of get out of hand, instead of stepping out and trying to control the situation or alter the situation or control yourself and alter yourself, you just see it as a cue of, oh, time to go. Bye, everybody. And it's not skipping out on the work of the world. You know, a lot of times, like the wounded healer is trying to heal yourself by healing others. And coming into the third state of Chiron, the enjoyment, the resting, the living joyfully in the present, which Chiron is the merging of the instinct and the intuition of the human and the animal. Instead of trying to tame that, let them exist like that edge that we have going on here. Okay, enough of that. So this was the oracle, the mystic oracle that came out. Okay. I think the reason this hesitated for a few days is it's almost like I got to witness it being brought in, and it's still sort of being brought in even now, which it did have to do with some of that shockwave of the nodes. It's kind of like Chiron's being overlooked, but actually, like Chiron was waiting for this time of the nodal shift to be able to get to some verbalization of thinking here, of mindset, of whole-mindedness, of how does the situation feel as opposed to doing the work. Staying in touch with that balance, not controlling it, but surrendering to the influence of life's stream of consciousness, of its third-party involvement, its relationship with us, the dynamic of our inside, our outside, and then how they come together. The dynamic of us and whoever else we're gathering with, and the environment that's being created, the recipe, the product that's being created from that dynamic. Because here we have the dark and the daylight. And she's holding the eye, and it's traveling through time, being able to see, and this is Pluto, to Pluto and all the way back. And we've got the moon and we got the sun. Apologize. Let me clear that. going on here, and we've got they're kind of like portals, but that's mm, okay. They're gateways for the chariot. They're access points, realizations, epiphanies, and even though we're going into the mind body state with the nodes, it really is more hitting home, because an epiphany or an awakening is like an aha moment. It's something that you literally feel it pass through your body so much when you try and share it with another, they may not quite catch it the way you did, because not only was it words, but it was the feeling that accompanied it. Because the hands are almost mirroring each other, but this has more to do with the internal body, right? The instinct. And this is more like the intuition going on here, okay? And our intuition guides us through the dark, but that's where projections, confusion, jacking up your three of wands, waiting for the ships to come in, and dreams being dashed upon the rocks, getting inconsistent results. And then if we're trying to do work on that through the mindset, through the two halves of the brain, we can get all bound up in this and trying to control the control, right? As opposed to joining into the conscious flow, the conscious collaboration with the feelings of the universe. The universe has feelings. And I feel like we're being asked to, okay, that was, I remember now. These downloads and meditations can come so profoundly in such a vast state of plasma that little bits can get lost in it. It's about the connection. Okay, so here we go. Even though these are kind of cutesy or whatever, we can see that there's the 2 points of view here. We have kind of the day eye, the night eye. We have the day side. We have the dark side. We have the intuition. We have the instinct. We have the Chiron. The collaboration of the two coming together here. It's a union. This is the relationship, the whole brain self. And this is where we need to operate from. As this is going on around us, that's the staying centered and staying balanced. And it's not mindset consciousness. It really is whole self. It's the heart and the mind, and not in pieces, but in synergy. Like the recipe, you can't dig through the cake and pull out grains of flour or pieces of egg. It has become its own thing. And that's the joy and the celebration, that we step in and we begin to just let the weight and the cumbersomeness and the burden of trying to figure it all out, and we connect and collaborate into the essence and the feeling with the universe, with this conscious flow, this beauty. Yeah. And so the message that they were giving me coming through from there is, just bear with me for a second. It said seduce me. And so you as Aries, you're very passionate people. Anybody who's a healer is very compassionate, okay? So we've got passion and compassion going on in here. And the seduction has really been tethered to sex. And so it's lost a lot of its nuance. It's been relegated to just one tiny little facet. And so it doesn't shine like it should. And the universe was being flirty and teasing here with you guys, and with me too, saying, hey, seduce me, hey, step on in. It's almost like, if you think about an expert musician, and whether it's someone who sings or whether it's someone who plays, they seduce their instrument. They play with passion and with feeling of, what if I held that just a little bit longer, or what if I did staccato notes, and they're collaborating, they're seducing, and they're being seduced through their own instrument. It's really that it's beauty. That's the word that keeps coming about. Beauty is the fruit of seduction, not sex seduction. That's so limited. That's fine. Many people have already tapped in and tuned into that. But we need to open up the full facet of it. to look at the full scope of what it is and not just the front door. So it's get in with that playfulness, that enjoyment. And when we get into that, what opens up is often intoxicating. Like, say you have a friend who's very witty and you have someone who has a great laugh. They make a fantastic team because the wittiness just starts to spill out. The one who's got the great laugh can't help but be played by the humor, and their laugh is so sincere and free because it's innate to who they are. It's part of their essence. That only feeds the fire of the witty person, and it becomes its own thing. It's a synergistic, dynamic relationship, wooing and being wooed by the universe, playing with that energy, seducing it into this state of elevation. And it's not about things, y'all. It's literally of feeling alive. And that's beautiful. So we'll just cap that there. Anyways, so over here, kind of like the driving force, the scene behind the scenes, and we have the Queen of Coins and the Ace of Wands. So it's really that being urged to be abundantly passionate, right? Why are you doing things if you're not passionate about them? Some of that is that environmental conditioning of how we grew up in school. Is you have to attend like elementary and high school. If you're from America, elsewhere, I would figure it kind of plays along the same lines. But just go there with me for a moment. You're conditioned that you have to have your mathematics, you have to have your language, you have to have your sciences, and it's about trying to make a well-rounded person. And that's very kind of sterile and amorphic, generic. There's the word. It's very generic, and none of us are generic. We're anything but generic. And that's where I feel like the universe was teasing. And it's like, I know who you are. And the universe is wanting to play with your energy so that it can wake up and you can enjoy yourself again. Vibrance will wake up. A thirst for life will wake up. An enthusiasm, an adventurousness, a passion will awaken. And I love that. Because it's that fiery dragon. It's that wand coming to life. And that wand, it's kind of like the channel of energy between earth and heaven. It's that connection being there. It's like, that spiritual seduction, that conjugating of energies. The healer, the Chiron in us, the key, is bringing together in a whole-mindedness, our intuition and our instincts, our primal passions, and our refined receptivity, okay? That masculine, that feminine. So there's more, okay? So even more tarot cards came out, and this isn't how I normally do the spread, but hey, you guys are special, and it's what you need and what you're asking for. So I've got 2 layers, 4 cards on top, 4 cards down beneath. So I'm just going to see how this goes. So at the beginning, we've got, that's why I think it kind of had to wait, is we're getting here. And we're finding out that what we've been calling celebrations or ways we've been, quote, rewarding ourselves, they've kind of been empty. They're that generic, right? And we're being told, oh, you should be happy about that. You should have Thanksgiving. And gratitude, we're often told, is attitude. And that's good because that message is out there. But I'm being told kind of a different take on it. That when you're aligned, when you're living in your truth, when your full personality and your beingness is living and being expressed without words, that in and of itself is thankfulness and gratitude. Um, sorry, my oven is going off. And so what I like here with this Four of Cups is he's dreaming. He's imagining. He's thinking, I can have more. I can have what looks like abundance and a bunch of friends or a bunch of things or a lot of accolades and awards. But they're not that cup. It's not quenching my thirst. It's not satisfying my appetite. And so in this case, less is more. Or in this case, being specific, being unique is what is being sought after. Okay? Now down beneath it, we have the Fool. So again, it's kind of like the refined receptivity, right? The intuition. And this is more like the instinct. We have the Fool and the new beginning. It's like, well, I'll trade the 3 for the 1. I'll trade the 3. And what I like is it's a bit of another dream state. Here we have, even though it seems like a Fool, we have a mastery because we have a double wrapped rod. The comings and goings. The essence of the Fool, the essence of the universe says, be my Fool. I've been there, done that. I know the road and I'll walk it with you. I'll give you signs and synchronicities. I'll stir you up. We'll do this together, okay? And that's why the Fool can happily dance along. So we've got this dream state of beginning to imagine what would it feel like. And I think before we decide what it would look like, we got to decide what it would feel like. And that's very much that instinct. Instincts are feelings. The intuition or intellect is like, what would it look like? But projections and things tend to come up here. And that's where we can get tricked and not even know that we're living out somebody else's passion till sometime down the road. And we're like, wait, is that what I wanted? Anyways, all right, let's step on from there. Right next to him, progressing forward, taking steps forward. Again, and the mindset or the human part of Chiron, we have the 8 of Cups. And it's again, it's like that journey. It's going towards your destination. We've had that time, and down beneath it, we've got the return coming. Okay, so it's walking away from something, turning your back to something, because it could seem like the right thing to do, but in this case, our instinct is calling us to face it. And this is more the card of emphasis here. Because it's wanting to be acknowledged. Okay. This has been showing up all over the place across YouTube. And I love how Marchetti portrayed it here. All right. So we've got the Plutonian symbols. We have the crows going on. The crows are kind of like the nagging of the mind, the nagging of the soul, of like, take another look. Aren't you listening to me? And it's not always things done in a way that feels sweet and comfortable, but it's wanting us to go within and not to go within the mind. Don't go here. Go within the gut and ask yourself, what are you telling me? I think there's been a lot of disconnect from the gut. I mean, look around you and you'll see that. And it's like, look deep, connect with me. What am I trying to tell you? And here, I love that it's, in a sense, a peace offering. It's a white rose. And as we know, roses are fragrant and beautiful, but they also have thorns, and it means handle carefully. It doesn't mean, turn your back on it and let's keep doing, the ascension work, which there's nothing wrong with that. But as we see, a lot of us, and the healers, right, we've ended up here. We've ended up here, and thank God for new dreams. It's beautiful that we can imagine more, but it's for practical reasons. Okay, so let's face ourselves. That's a bit of what the Chiron and the nodes are doing. Like, I almost felt punched in the gut earlier, and I thought, oh, how am I going to make it through this? And it was an intense 30, 45 minutes, but I'm not going to turn my back on this, because then it's just going to do it again. So I'm like, let me do the one and done, and let's move on to step 2. So I would encourage you to take that death. Death is that destruction. It's the clearing away. It's the making room. it's in a sense a beautiful exchange, and it shouldn't be feared. There's no aggressiveness here, but and you see it's just the upper body, but it's telling us to delve deep into our gut instinct. It is the loose brain. It is the primal brain. It is where animal instinct comes from. It's why man has survived for as long as he has, mankind. Okay, so moving on to the next, we have got the Nine of Cups. Okay, and I love the way he's dressed. To me, it very much brings across an energy of someone who's had a labor of love. They've done quite a bit of work. It's effort there, and I love that. That's very much an Aries energy to me. I love the satisfaction on the face, and so this is more the emphasized card. This is more the intuition going on of like, I knew it would produce some fine wine. I wanted to fill my cup. Remember, they dreamt up the cup. They dreamt of how life would feel. They walked away from everything that was empty, that was not quenching the thirst, was not satisfying personally. Those things may be someone else's satisfaction, and maybe even those around us. So we're not dismissing or diminishing that. It's being able to make and navigate your own personal energy, and recognizing what does satisfy. And I love that here he's lifting the cup. So the cup is now being filled, and I feel like it's on the verge of being tasted. Like it hasn't been tasted quite yet. Like he's ready to make the toast and cheers of bringing that union, that bit of celebration together. Okay, sorry, my phone's still doing stuff. And down beneath him, we have the Knight of Wands, and it is like the driving passion, what could keep you going through what has been a long process. You guys know this is you. It's that driving force, that driving passion that you could keep going even if you haven't seen what you thought you should have seen by now. What you saw on the initial part of the journey, paying the price, doing the growth, even though it seemed like you were going backwards. And somewhere in yourself, it's kind of like these clarification cards at the beginning. This Knight of Rods is like telling yourself, progress is being made. I know it doesn't look like it, it's being made, but one day our sweet Chariot is going to come for us. And staying motivational. But I love that we're stepping into the season. This is like quick step. This is like this, and the irony is none of this has been quick. But the reward is. It's going to come in quickly, because if you're still around and you still have this rod of passion, I love it because it's a bit of mastery, even though it's a knight. Just like we had the Fool here with his rod, and it's double wrapped, the destiny and fate, the coming and going, the making it through the full process. Not just showing up, but also coming to completion, coming to actualization, to the aha moment. Okay, so I love it. I love these guys going together, and this is the aha moment. It's not, as you see, it's left the mental frame. This is very tangible. This is very much along the Pentacles energy. Okay, you see what we've got going on here. I love it because this card is like a merging of these energies. It's that this is what they became. It's not this watery, like, and not diminishing any water signs. We're talking about those vague, water can shift so easily, right? It wasn't that. Remember, it goes down to tuning into what you were feeling, right? Those epiphanies and ahas, they weren't just at the mental frame. They were passion driven, but they felt very tangible. Very motivational, like they drove you to keep going and to go from this to where we're now going into the fourth set of cards to this. Okay, and I love it because here this guy, okay, let me just get them all up. This person, okay, you Aries, you pay the price, you walked away from what has not been fulfilling, okay, and dreamt of something better. and you tried different things and you found out that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. And you started to walk away from it and went on this quest. Like, remember, if I know I feel something, I know something's there. I don't know what it is. I admit that, but you're following your gut, right? And you've gone along, and before you know it, you bought a vineyard, you planted it, you put it in the casks, and now you're offering it. Your cup is filled, so now it can be offered. This motivation, see with the helmet that's on here, it really brings down that intense focus. It really is a union, very chironic energy, very much like this. It's the synergizing of the inner and the outer world, of the dark and the light, of getting that focus of that fire in the belly, the dragon, that primal energy force, which I love. It's here as well. Really going until you can taste it, touch it, feel it, smell it. Thus, that the seduction, the sensuality of like being driven until you can, in the 3D, have what you were seeking. And now, layer 4, share it. You can offer it. And not only offer it, you have some of the wisdom and the steps of how your story unfolded. And it's not to like control others and say this is how it's got to be done any more than this is advice to you guys. This is simply information and road signs, and you can take the journey on your own and move at your own pace and discover what your instrument is and how that works for you. But I love it. It's within the water, the prosperity. This is pleasure and prosperity, these two fishes here. And they're swimming around, and I love that it's that thermostat. They're offering not just what is in the cup. They're offering the feelings, the essence of the completed Chiron, the wholeness that comes about, that the inside and the outside are the same, okay? And this is teeming with life, and it's very unctuous. It's that coy, that teasing, titillating energy of the universe. It's like, see, it's inviting someone in to connect, to co-create. And down beneath it, we have the Four of Swords. It's not like a lay down and rest to recover. It is literally the new life. It is the product of this death, of being able to not have to go to battle anymore, to not, let those energies fight each other, not let the intuition, the intellect, and the instinct fight it out as to who's going to win, who's going to compromise. No, it's a collaboration. It's that whole brain. It's the merging. It's the integration of them coming together. So strangely enough, I do feel like this is a complete reading. I sit at my coffee table because it's 2 layers, and down beneath is a whole another layer of cards that had come out. But it really has to do with, it would just be a different way to say the exact same things that are here. And I'm not being called to lay out anymore. I think this is succinct. I don't think you need superfluous information. I think you're intelligent. You're quick thinking. You have fast instincts. I love that. I love that the Chiron and the instinct is coming out for Aries. And anybody who's seeking to be the whole healer, to be the whole self. And I give my vote of support for y'all and for myself going through this, that, hey, keep going. You're almost there. You are almost there. That's why I love the Pluto return and the Venus retrograde that's going on right now. Is it's nothing to be feared. It's a bit of this. It's not so much a mental review time. It's a time that, when you're heading home, your mind has a different viewpoint when you're heading home from a trip. It's like on the return, last card that we didn't do. It's the observer. You just get to observe. You get to lay back. You get to temper yourself. You're not just going to hit your instinct and go, oh, this is what I'm going to do. No, it's like surrender to that. Be joyful, be trusting, tune in, be that thermostat. Um, Follow your gut feelings. Um, and my rock that had to come on up. See this little strawberry? And on the message it says, "Life is sweet, take a bite." It's not even slowing down. It's not about speed. It's just allowing the information to integrate and then moving forward in that. And not fighting yourself, but going with the flow of the consciousness of the relationship that the universe has been building with you, so that now you can see it as a friend and not a foe, as an ally, as a lover, um, as a union. So I bless it. Bless your sacred unions. I look forward to hearing the beauty in life that's coming out for you, to seeing our world be more amazing, more lovely, because you're more of who you are, and that you enjoy health and healing and wholeness and freedom and happiness and all those juicy bits that are your personality. No more hiding them down, that it's all going to integrate and come together. Taste and see. All right. Thanks. Bye.